Its shrines are evidence
control issues, not commerce licenses, so commercial aircraft can still go and so on. It's a mild slap on the wrist, but more calculated to make them angry than to produce any effect.
Thank you very much, General Scowcroft, for being with us tonight. Another foreign policy dilemma for the Clinton administration is Bosnia, of course, and today there was another one of those maddening episodes that so graphically demonstrates the frustrations and the tragedy. UN relief teams were trying to reach starving Muslims in the city of Mostar, and NBC's Dennis Murphy was with them.
At midday, the armored convoy formed up, and UN officials were confident they'd reach the starving Muslims in Mostar, 15 miles away.
Everything is green. We're all ready to go.
But the convoy of 27 trucks with enough food for 6 days rolled only 500 yards before stopping. Demonstrators blocking the road, Croatian women and children. They said they were made widows and refugees by the same Muslims the UN intended to feed and would not let the convoy pass.
Our Croatian people need also food, also medicine.
Anitza Glemis refused to move away from the lead armored car. She said 5 members of her family were killed by Muslims. Finally, a French UN official offered to show her the cargo. The distraught woman, like many here, believes the UN is smuggling weapons to Mostar. They pulled back the tarp, showed her bags of flour, and she seemed satisfied. The convoy rolled on. But 10 minutes later, it stopped again. Now children singing anti-war songs danced in a circle blocking the way. The crowd demanded an inventory of the trucks and food for their Croatian soldiers. The convoy had moved 2.5 miles in 6 hours. Fewer than 100 demonstrators, most of them children, placed in front of the armored column by their parents, have shut down this UN relief convoy cold. After hours of negotiations, the convoy was finally allowed to pass and reach Mostar's starving thousands tonight, with the first ground delivery of food in more than 2 months. Dennis Murphy, NBC News, Medjugorje, Bosnia.
Well, Nightly News continues in a moment. Another shocking murder story tonight with children, real children as suspects. And on America Close Up, rebuilding homes while building young lives. New federal charges tonight in the World Trade Center bombing. The radical Muslim sheikh Omar Abdul Rahman, already facing deportation from this country, today was indicted as part of the conspiracy, which allegedly included the planned assassination of Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak. Today in Los Angeles, truck driver Reginald Denny took the stand in the trial of the young man charged with beating him almost to death in the '92 riots. Denny today was a much different presence on camera than he was that day. NBC's George Lewis has more tonight.
My name is Reginald Oliver Denny.
Denny said he was just trying to do his job on April 29th of last year, unaware that a riot had begun. The prosecution played videotapes of the scene at the crossing of Florence and Normandy Avenues as Denny pulled his truck into the intersection. Denny said it was total chaos.
It was just total madness. And once again, just something that, no one is really trained to view or even have any idea what it's like unless they're there in the middle of it.
The last thing Denny said he remembers is the window of his truck being broken.
Just being really startled. I mean, almost like gasping a last breath kind of thing, where probably my heart was pounding like crazy.
Denny said he had no recollection of the defendants in the case nor of the circumstances surrounding the beating.
Do you remember being kicked or beaten?
No.
Do you remember your face being held to the ground by someone's foot?
No.
Do you remember being hit over the head by a large white object?
No.
Do you remember being hit in the head with a hammer?
No.
This is how Denny looked before last year's beating, and this is how he looks today after repeated operations to repair his badly smashed face. He has said he harbors no animosity towards the men accused of beating him. This afternoon, during a break in proceedings, he hugged the mothers of defendants Damian Williams and Henry Watson, who could face life in prison if found guilty of Denny's attempted murder. George Lewis, NBC News, Los Angeles.
And tonight we have another shocking story of inner-city violence. 3 very young boys with a gun at a bank money machine in Detroit. And dead tonight, a mother pregnant with her 5th child. NBC's Chris Hansen on the fatal result.
Someone put a rose today at the ATM machine where Elizabeth Alvarez was shot to death. The 33-year-old mother of 4 was getting money for her eldest daughter's birthday party. That's when police say 3 boys, 8, 12, and 14 years old, robbed her. One allegedly shot her in the chest with a handgun.
Kids loved her around here. They just loved her. She was a good person, and it's just ironic that a kid took her life.
Detroit police quickly arrested all 3 boys who live in the same neighborhood where the murder and robbery took place. They had escaped with $80. Police now believe it was the 14-year-old who actually pulled the trigger and that the 8 and 12-year-olds were willing participants. The 3 were just hanging out at this ATM machine looking for someone to rob. The 8-year-old's mother today was angered by her son's arrest.
All I know is I don't see why he's getting charged for murder for what someone else pulled the trigger, because my kid did not do it.
People in the neighborhood are stunned that such young kids could be capable of such a crime.
Nothing's going to be done except a slap on the hand because of their age.
Police are releasing the 2 youngest suspects pending further investigation. The 14-year-old was charged in juvenile court with murder. Even if convicted, because he is a juvenile, he will be released at the age of 21. Chris Hansen, NBC News, Detroit.
There is a new development tonight in that Navy tailhook sex abuse scandal. The Navy is reopening its investigation of 5 senior officers accused of wrongdoing at the 1991 Aviators Convention. Among the 5, the commander of the Blue Angels Precision Flying Team. No concert tonight in Thailand for Michael Jackson. Doctor's orders. Jackson is said to be dehydrated after last night's show. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, the investigation continues into child abuse allegations against Jackson. Charges that the superstar's family today called cruel and unfounded. And when Nightly News continues, new hope for drug addicts. The treatment, another drug. From outer space tonight, no news is bad news. No contact with the Mars Observer. NASA says it still hopes the craft is still out there, but there is speculation that the $1 billion observer may have blown up on Saturday as its fuel tanks pressurized. Medical news tonight. After a long debate, the federal government has taken up the question of ibogaine. That's a controversial drug that is said to curtail the addiction to heroin, also to cocaine. But some doctors think the cure may be worse than the addiction. Here's NBC's Bob Hager.
The Food and Drug Administration called leading scientists together today for advice on whether to permit first U.S. testing on heroin and cocaine users of an experimental drug called ibogaine, which the agency is suddenly taking seriously. It may help addicts kick their habits. Ibogaine comes from a plant found only in Africa, from the root, and has been used as an hallucinogen in tribal religious rites. But in the 1960s, then drug addict Howard Lotzoff believes he discovered accidentally that ibogaine works against addiction.
I was 1962 heroin and cocaine dependent, and 30 hours after I took ibogaine, I was no longer an addict.
Bob Sisko, who helped some addicts get ibogaine through a small test in the Netherlands, says it helped him off drugs as well.
Well, if it didn't work for me, I wouldn't be here.
With heroin use apparently on the rise again in the U.S., just last night, agents seized a record $200 million worth in a shipment of lychee nuts from Singapore. The issue takes on new urgency. Today, the scientists heard of animal tests showing that although the drug works, it may also do brain damage. This is a close-up of what cells in a rat's brain should look like. And this is a slide of a rat's brain after large doses of ibogaine. The gaps in the dark bands are missing brain cells, which were killed. FDA must decide which is worse for addicts, heroin and cocaine, or the ibogaine that may break their habit. Dr. Curtis Wright.
Clinical research is never safe. At best, it is the scientific equivalent of bull riding, automobile racing, or flying in the space shuttle.
One compromise being discussed, permit human testing to go ahead, but only with very small doses of the ibogaine. Now it's up to the FDA. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
We have more medical news tonight. There's a new study out saying that black Americans are twice as likely as whites to suffer sudden cardiac arrest, and less than half as likely to survive that. The study says that blacks with heart disease often get inferior medical care in this country. Kenneth Lakeberg, who is the father of the surviving Siamese twin Angela, acknowledged today that he used some of the money donated for medical costs to buy a car, to take trips, and to go to restaurants. As for Angela, the latest reports from Philadelphia Hospital are optimistic tonight. On Wall Street today, yet another record high close, and trading today was very heavy. When we come back, a program for young people where helping the homeless is a career-building experience. A good job is hard enough to find these days, but it's almost impossible without a high school diploma. Among people ages 16 to 24 who never finish high school, the unemployment rate now is running at 21%. On America Close Up tonight, giving those young people a second chance, building shelter for the homeless while building lives. NBC national correspondent Brian Williams.
Dwayne Hubbard is 21. He has a 2-year-old child. He dropped out of high school and almost became one of those statistics you read about. Instead, he's on his way to work.
I'm walking to work. I feel good because I know when I get there, I know I'm going to have something to do. I know what I'm going to do, you know.
Dwayne Hubbard is part of something called Youth Build. Not for profit and privately run, it's designed to fix 2 problems: homelessness and America's so-called lost generation, the 16 to 24-year-olds of the inner city. So far, 1,000 of them have fixed up over 100 buildings over the past 11 years.
Okay, go ahead.
Youth Build accepts only dropouts, those with reading scores below 9th grade level. Once they're in the program, they're assigned a building no one else wants. They're taught the rest. They're taught how to turn an abandoned shell into an apartment building for homeless families, and they learn a lot more.
I feel that I would be a great asset to your company.
Youth Build also means hours of classroom study in math and English to get their high school equivalency diploma and the social skills they'll need to get a job. No one is forced to be here. In fact, for one accepted into the program, 10 others are turned away. They want to be here because they know what it does and what it saves them from. Youth Build is hoping to use $40 million from Congress to expand even more. Youth Build graduate Anthony Green took time out from his new job in a Boston suburb to tell us what it did for him.
My self-esteem has changed by made me realize that I can do something if I put my mind to it, you know.
Dorothy Stoneman runs Youth Build.
There's almost an infinite number of young people who come streaming into Youth Build the moment you open the door. They're a lost generation because there's nothing there waiting to be found. And if you put a Youth Build in the middle of a community, everybody finds you. It's like a moth to light.
This is what Youth Build leaves behind. This New York City apartment building was abandoned, vacant, about a year ago. And in a short time now, a homeless family will move into this apartment and the 8 other apartments just like it in this building, and the apartment building just next door where construction is still underway. This program is at work now in 12 different U.S. cities.
3, 2, 1.
The cities are glad to have them because in places like San Francisco, St. Louis, and Philadelphia, using a mixture of public and private dollars, they bring buildings back, and each new apartment means another family can move out of a homeless shelter.
We leave behind housing, right? And we leave behind the young people are extremely proud of what they've done. They take great pride in being able to say, hey, I did that, I'm part of rebuilding this.
So Dwayne Hubbard's walk to work each morning is about beating the odds in a neighborhood where no one has to spell it out. In a neighborhood he has decided to help rebuild, precisely why 100 other cities are interested in rebuilding the same way. For America Close Up, Brian Williams, NBC News, New York.
You may recall that we told you on Monday about that Nazi U-boat that's been recovered from the deep after being sunk by a British bomber at the end of World War II. The salvagers hoped to recover Nazi treasures on board, but so far a search of the sub has turned up only 100 bottles of German wine, binoculars, and a case of condoms. When we return, the Midwest long road back from the Great Flood.
Now, NBC Tonight.
For most of us, of course, summer now is coming to an end, but in the floodplains of the Midwest, it's still a day-to-day season for too many people. The worst is over, but the Mississippi River still is close to or above flood stage. NBC's Dawn Fratangelo tonight checks in with some of the people that she's met along the way this summer.
The Mississippi is like an annoying house guest. It just won't leave. Where the river runs through Illinois and Missouri, the water, the worries, the when will it end questions still linger.
It's been a bad summer.
It wasn't no summer.
No, really, that's what it seemed like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I had a lot of friends here. You know, a lot of old friends. But
I don't think they'll be back.
What they're telling us, though, is the government's not going to bail us out anymore.
Well, stones are getting loose.
Well, they are, aren't they?
Cracking that foundation down there at the corner.
When we last saw Barbara and Ray Morley, they watched helplessly as the river swallowed their home. Now, more than a month later, they still need a boat to get to their house. What's left of their house.
Hardwood floors here were buckled up, you know, this high.
And we've lived here 15 years and his folks before that, and it is home. It really is.
Across river in LaGrange, Missouri, there's no longer a flood of water, just government red tape.
Who am I supposed to believe?
And the flood insurance will dry up if you don't follow the rules.
If your damage is 50% of fair market value or greater, your first floor is supposed to be at least as high as the 100-year flood elevation.
That's going to put my house approximately 11 feet in the air.
But in places like Meyer, Illinois, rebuilding may not be an option. This is what's left of the town of Meyer. Much of the Mississippi floodwaters have gone, but some wonder if this town will ever come back. Houses sit empty and decaying. It's as if the town has died. Roger Adair was a longtime resident.
Oh, it's an eerie feeling. You know, used to be noise all the time, and now there's nobody around, no dogs or cats, and now there's nothing, so. Oh, it's just not even the same place.
The Lundbergs liked their place in Taylor, Missouri, 2 miles from the river, until it became part of the river. They've headed for higher ground.
We're probably 10 to 11 miles from the river now. That's
Right.
far. That's far enough.
Right.
It's not going to get us anymore.
And today, school started, a hint of life returning to normal. Even there, the topic was the flood. The hard lessons of summer are spilling into fall. Dawn Fratangelo, NBC News, along the Mississippi.
That's Nightly News for Wednesday. I'm Tom Brokaw, and I'll see you with Katie Couric this evening on Now, our new NBC News magazine. Tonight, a rare interview with Marina Oswald Porter, the widow of Lee Harvey Oswald, on all the new material in the assassination 30 years ago. So we'll see you tonight at 9, 8 Central Time.